What would Olivia Rodrigo's new single Drop Dead sound like if I were the one to produce it? This is something I've always wanted to do on the channel that for some reason we've just never gotten into, where I basically go in and extract an acapella and reproduce it in a style that is kind of what I would do if she were to come to me. So with that being said, Dan Agro killed this production. The whole team crushed it. I'm not saying that anything is wrong with production or that they should have done anything differently. I just think it would be fun to kind of put my own spin on it. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. We're going to dive into Cubase and check all of that out in 1 second. But before we do, I do just have a couple quick announcements. We did launch our spring sale last Friday. So from now until the end of, I believe you have until Sunday, April 26th, you can still go on makepopmusic.com and save 25% on all items, including the brand new course that we just dropped for R&B, the brand new sample pack and preset pack for R&B, and all of our other courses, sample packs, preset packs, MIDI packs, loop packs, bundles. This is the last sale that we're going to be running until Black Friday, so if you want to save 25% off of anything, that is all at makepopmusic.com. We even have a ton of freebies on there as well, so even if you don't want to purchase anything, go check it out. You might find some items that you really want to download for free. With that being said, your support means the world to us, so we can't say thank you enough for showing up and supporting all of the new products, supporting the sales, supporting this channel. Shopping over there is the best way to make sure that we can come back every Friday and do these videos, so we really, really appreciate it. But let's dive in because we have a ton to cover. I have the original song. I'm not going to play too much of it. I don't want to get copyright strikes, even though I'm pretty sure we're going to from the acapella anyway. This video is 100% getting demonetized, which is fine, but I'll kind of just show you how to extract the acapella. So in Cubase, you have spectral layers. You can essentially load in your master track. Also, do this very ethically. I'm not saying do this all the time. Just do this for practice. Do not release anything with anybody's stems or acapellas or any AI version. Very unethical, very illegal. But we're going to go ahead and open up spectral layers. And this, essentially what you're going to do is you're going to just hit unmixed song vocals. It's going to give you this. You can hit apply. It'll render for about a minute. And then you'll be left with something that sounds like this.
I know that the bar closes at 11.
It's not perfect. There's still like hiss and static and stuff in the background, but for what we're doing today, it's going to work perfectly fine. We have the tempo set at 130. There is a little tempo ramp over here where we jump up to 131 for a split second. But other than that, 130 for most of the song. And typically when I'm working off of an acapella, whether it's something that I'm working with just for myself or for a client, or I'm doing a little exercise like this, is I want to find the chords. I essentially want to do any kind of harmonization that I need to. And so for that, I'll pick something very simple. So we're going to go ahead and just start with this little Brass Factory preset. This is in the new R&B pack that we launched, but I'm really using this because you can kind of craft whatever brass sound that you want. So we could just play these kind of like sus chords. Something like that. But I kind of want to change it from the original, so let's just play and see what we can kind of get.
I know that the bar closes at 11. I hope you never finish that beer. You know all the words to Just Like Heaven. I know why he wrote them now that you're standing right here. Oh, one night I was bored in.
So I'm just going to do something like that. I'm going to lay down some chords, kind of show you what we come up with. So in the brass preset, I actually went in and changed some of these macros just to kind of ease up on the attack a little bit, make it a little bit softer. And here are the chords we ended up landing on. So
I know that
little sus
bar closes at 11.
Just kind of add some somberness.
I hope you never finish that beer.
I thought it would be fun at this part to like, the song feels very sad. You don't know yet that it's going to be a love song. And so I kind of just wanted that to continue. And then we just added in these extra chords back here.
You know all the words to Just Like Heaven. And I know why he wrote them now that you're standing
builds a little bit of tension for
right
me.
Here. Oh.
So now I want to layer that with some sounds that I think add some interest. It's very simple. Maybe something like an ARP in there. So what I'll do is essentially duplicate this. We're going to go back into Serum and just kind of search through some different ARP presets and see if we can find anything that we like. Like something like that could be cool. Something like that could be really nice. I'm just going to adjust some of these macros and adjust some of the chords till it feels a little bit more exciting. Here's where we ended at on the ARP. I also have a little Pro Q here, just kind of scooping out some of the low end. I don't want the extended low end of some of those notes, so we're just kind of tightening that up. And then here is where the preset landed. We actually changed quite a bit on here. We added basically this extra filter doing some attack. So we have this envelope 2 triggering this cutoff. And then we have the mod wheel right here where we can open things up. But it sounds really pretty when you tuck it into the back.
I know that the bar closes at 11. I hope you never...
I wanted something that was going to add a little bit of melodic movement, very similar to like the loop that you find in the original, but I didn't want something that was just going to copy that essentially. So next, I want to layer up some kind of pad, maybe some kind of like granular moment, something that just adds a little bit of like depth. So let's see what we can do. We can go into granular, maybe like work of art. I'm just going to play around with different things, see what we get. So here's the pad that we ended up on. It's called Synced Grains. This one is out of Poptopia 2 as well. And what we're doing is we're just automating some of the grain length and the low pass filter as it goes. And this sync sign, just to give it a little bit of extra movement and harmonic content. And all the notes and chords are the same. I just wanted a little bit of movement to kind of make this very simple chord progression a little bit more exciting. The next thing that I want to do is there's plenty of room in here to kind of go in and do some kind of like ad-lib synth and guitar stuff. We'll get some guitar in a little bit later, but for right now, I just want to add in some kind of like backing melody where there's all this dead space.
I know that the bar closes at 11. I hope you never...
Let's try that with a pitch bend.
I know that the bar closes at 11. I hope you...
So this preset is a McGee brass. If you hit it soft, there's like no distortion. The harder you hit it, it's going to trigger that distortion and room reverb and flanger, similar to like the Ranger effects pedal that McGee uses. So we kind of just have that tucked into the mix, and I'm going to add some auto pan. Here's what the final version of this little sound is. We just added a little bit extra distortion in there. And I changed this down to 1 semitone, so then we could just go down to the 3 there. So kind of fills out the melody nice. I think melodically we have a good bed. I kind of want to start adding in some drums. So I'm going to go ahead and add Contact in because we have just a library for it that I want. So I'm in Contact. I dragged in the Sour Candy kit. This is actually inspired by Olivia Rodrigo's first album. We had a session drummer track a couple different drum kits just to give us that really roomy, thrashy sound that you're going to hear in her first 2 albums. And for this, I kind of want to go ahead and just add on some effects because I want to do this like filtered, crushed, almost like breakbeat drum in the verse. So I have Devil Lock right here. And we're also going to filter it out just a hair with a little bit of Pro Q. And we're going to route this not to the drum so there's no latency right now. And let me show you what we kind of got going. And we'll just do a hi-hat. Let's see what we get.
I know that the bar closes at 11. I hope you never finish that beer.
We'll do something like that. Here are our drums. Essentially, it's that pattern that we were just playing, and I've just added in a little hi-hat. And this whole library is velocity sensitive, so you can get in and you can do some big, cool kind of like rolls that you'll hear a little bit later. But I want to layer that with a drum that is a little bit cleaner. The Sour Candy kit has so much room noise that I really, really love, but I want something a little bit softer and punchier tucked underneath. Here are the drums that we're going to be layering. This is out of our Mellow kit. This is called Fast Times. And we're just layering this snare called Polaroid. And I've duplicated the snare. If you come up here, you can copy it and paste. And I've just added a version at a lower velocity. And the lower velocity version, we're just shaving off the initial transient and fading it in a little bit. So if you want to do a little roll, you can kind of bootleg a one shot into something that is multi-velocity. So we're just going to tuck that underneath, and I am going to be doing some EQ on this in the verse, and we'll kind of open that up as the chorus opens up later. So here are the two drums that we have. For the bass, I want to go ahead and layer under something that I think has a little bit more grit. So we're going to layer up basically a program version of a live bass. I landed on this retrograde bass by Teletone Audio. There's a bunch of cool presets in here, but I like the Moxie one. It's got a lot of that transient that I'm wanting and something like more like a kind of like Rickenbacker scooped but drivey bass. So for the bass pattern, we're just doing...
I know that the bar closes.
Adding a little bit of extra movement. And then when you layer that in, we're getting some movement now.
I know that the bar closes at 11. I hope you never finish.
That feels pretty good. I want to layer in some guitar, so I'm going to grab a rubber bridge. So here we go. We have the Orangewood Juniper. I'm just going to track this as a rubber bridge and add some effects, but I want to just do like a... very like 2000s pop. We tracked it twice, once for the left side, once for the right side, and we are processing it with the Fine Classics pedal board. We had the lo-fi wow, and I've essentially just automated the mix and the frequency just a hair. I want to kind of crush distorted filters.
I know that the bar closes at 11. I hope you never.
I want to go ahead and add in some electric guitar, so I'm just going to add like a boo-doo-doo, just kind of stringing out. Maybe add in something like, I might like try to get some feedback in this just as a riser, just to kind of see what we can get. So I was able to hold the rubber bridge up and just get a ton of feedback, which is this. And then I've just tuned the feedback to the key of the song, so I transposed it up 6 semitones. I added in that high guitar. This is tracked on a Fender Strat. Also using the Fine Classics pedal board on this on the Foggy Crunched Verb, and then a little bit of extra ambient reverb on Spaced Out. Very simple. And I'm just kind of letting it breathe. I think there's enough movement with the drums and that guitar. I don't need that electric guitar to add a ton. And then similar to what we did with this McGee Brass over here, we're kind of doing some kind of filler guitar lick. And in this, it's just a Strat as well. And we're going into the DI chorus room, and I've actually set an envelope to trigger the mix, to trigger the chorus, and to trigger this extra reverb and phaser. So as I hit it harder, the envelope will open up those effects. Just kind of gives us that cool, like, indie McGee Dijon thing. I feel like if I were doing Olivia Rodrigo stuff, I love how pop she is and how rock she is. I really would like to hear some of the more, like, 2000s pop punk stuff mixed with some modern indie stuff. And then we have another feedback right here. Last thing I'm going to add is one little counter melody that I think will lead up into the pre-chorus, or I guess into the chorus, I should say, and it'll just kind of go through there. This is kind of just the last little counter melody that we'll have in the verse. This is on the rubber bridge. And we have the Fine Classics pedal board on the Foggy Crunched Verb. We have a bit of auto pan, some transgate to tighten it. I like to use transgate to tighten up tight little plucks like this, so I'll bring the attack all the way down, take the sustain and the release up, and I'll just kind of let that add a little bit of extra transient and tighten up the tail. Then we have Spaced Out, and then honestly, just kind of like a ton of EQ that we'll automate. Automation is going to be really, really big in this song. We'll see when we listen to the final version. I'll pull up all of the automation that I'm going to do behind the scenes, but there's going to be volume automation, filter automation, macro automation, just to kind of take a few elements like this and make it feel more dynamic. It's going to be huge. Let's talk about this chorus and what we want to do. So in the chorus, I'm kind of hearing something a little bit different. I would like to do this big stabby chorus. So something like...
One night I was bored in bed and stalked you on the internet. It's feminine intuition, 'cause I always had a vision of a...
Do something like that. So we're going to track up drums and bass and kind of just see what we get after that. So let's hear the drums. So we again have that drum rack with just the mellow samples in there, just adding a little bit of extra intensity. We have the Sour Candy kit that we talked about that's doing the cymbals. And then for this chorus and this post-chorus, I'm going to add an extra version of Sour Candy in here that's almost just going to act as like a room response. So it's essentially Sour Candy that just has that really crazy crushed devil lock on here. And we're just filtering out a little bit of the low end so the kicks don't phase out. But we're kind of just using this. That room is just crazy. Here's without it. With that devil lock. Ooh, it's so wide and slappy. Tucked under, it's going to be crazy. So you have this. Just kicks and cymbals. Then we go into like it ramping up. I'm going to turn these cymbals down just a hair. I'm going to go into the mixer window. They're a little bit loud. Pull them down just a hair. Let's hear this now. There we go. We have that filler guitar that I talked about earlier. We have this bass. It's that same retro bass from earlier, but for this one, instead of that Moxie preset, we have flangered, is what I believe it's called. Yeah, flangered. So, kind of has a nice, cool flange on it. Sounds great. And I'm just layering that with a synth bass. This is the Prophet Reese. This one's actually out of the R&B pack, which you wouldn't think is something I'd go for this kind of like indie pop rock thing. But this just has such nice low end. It feels like a Reese bass. Dan Nigro and Olivia Rodrigo love kind of like raw analog synths. I think this is a great version of that. We're just layering that with the bass. And before I show you a little preview of that, I found one more thing. This is a Happy Accidents loop. We made a pack maybe 2 Black Fridays ago or something like that, where I essentially ran a bunch of stuff through a pedal board and just created these loops called Happy Accidents. I just found one in the key of the song and kind of around the tempo, and I just added it in here as like a filler, and it sounded insane. So now we need to get some synths and guitar stabs under here. So for the synths, we're just doing that granular pad and that main ARP. We've taken the brass pad out, but we're replacing that with this bigger, kind of stabbier, like basically like a Roland, like Juno or Jupiter brass. Way more top end. This one is out of our Lush preset pack for Serum. This was made for Serum 1, so there's only 4 macros, but still super flexible. And will definitely still work in Serum 2 perfect. So with that, we're also automating some mutes into here. So we need to just hit right around there. And we need the mutes to go until right around here. So I'm essentially just muting this synth bus wherever we don't have notes playing, because I want it to really do hard cuts. So it'll be... And then we're going to layer that with some guitar. This is kind of the piece de resistance that I just tracked up. This is a rubber bridge acoustic as well on the Big Fuzzy Room preset from Fine Classics. Here are the settings. I just added a little bit more fuzz. And I've double tracked it and panned it right and left. We're also adding a bit of compression with the Renaissance AXX. And we have it left and right. Super fuzzy, super crunchy. Got a nice little slapback room under there. And it just hits like crazy.
One night I was bored in bed and stalked you on the internet. It's feminine intuition, 'cause I always had a vision of it standing like this, all pressed up.
For the second half, when we pull in the 4 on the floor kick, I'm pulling in these palm muted guitars. Also, Rubber Bridge. Fine Classic's getting a lot of use in this. Not sponsored whatsoever. Gated Room Grit. Tracked left and right and panned out. Just basically eighth note strum.
So pressed up in the bathroom line, you looking like an angel on the walls of Versailles, the most alive I've ever been. But kiss me and I might drop dead.
We got a nice little drum fill there. And then we're into a chorus. I'm going to layer up the chorus off camera because it's running a little bit long, and then we'll go through, and then verse 2 should be pretty easy. So after that little stabby chorus, we have this little post-chorus. In the post-chorus, I've just got this extra cymbal hit. That drum rack is really doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Again, this is the mellow fast times kick and Polaroid snare. Super dry and punchy. Really cuts through the mix, and then you layer that with this kind of like extended sour candy kit that we had that had that devil lock on it. It's almost acting as like a parallel synth for like saturation and room, and then you just mix the cymbals under, and this thing rips. We're adding in that filler, and I've turned that filler up an octave here by now. So I literally just took the stem, turned it up a whole octave. For the bass, we're doing that retro bass that is the same flangered preset, but I'm layering it this time with Mallrat. It's essentially this like 80s, like plucky bass preset. Kind of changed some stuff. This is under Poptopia 2, but I just love this as kind of like a nice little layer. Layer in the synths. For the synths, we added something really fun that I was kind of proud of. That little granular pad that we used earlier, or that we tried to use, but then we swapped from, it was the one out of Poptopia 2. I ended up just playing one note. I played essentially what would be this G sharp, and then I also played, I believe, what would be like a C sharp, and I've just panned one to the left and right. I'm just letting them be super spacey. They're printed out as stems, they're panned out. Just thought it was a nice, cool way to add a little bit of harmonic difference on each side. And then really the star of this post-chorus is I wanted some kind of little glidey, slidey lead, so I added this preset called Luma. It's essentially like a fun little mono lead. Super crush, got a ton of effects happening. Really, really crazy preset just to kind of like give us a bit of movement, a bit of vibe, and a bit of texture. And so that's just playing a nice little melody. Also added a little bit of extra stabbiness to those brasses. And then for the guitars, we have that palm mute guitar just kind of open. Without the effects. So we tracked those on electric, not on the rubber bridge. And then we're just layering it. This was on the rubber bridge. I've just tracked these really high melodies. Panned one left, one right. I'm trying to use a lot of like extra counter melody. And then we're using this Fine Classics pedal board right here on the Indie Swamp Puppy Fuzz. And when we listen with that, it's crazy. But it really does add a nice little bit of texture. And that texture kind of blends in really well with that Luma lead that's like super buzzy and crazy. But we get this really punchy post-chorus. All right, I already fleshed out verse 2 and chorus 2 just to save some time. We're not really adding anything that new or that different. We have the drums that we talked about. And I'm essentially just pulling the dry kit down, the mellow one-shots. I'm pulling them down in velocity so they're not as crazy. I don't want them to hit as hard as this post-chorus, but I also still want them to, you know, be underneath for texture. Retro bass and that Prophet. So this is going to be that Moxie preset from Retrograde and the Prophet preset from the R&B mini pack. I think it's like $11 right now until Sunday if you want to go check that one out. And then Synths, we're back to the granular pad from verse 1, the brass pad from verse 1, and the main ARP. So the big change right now is we just have drums. And then palm mute guitar is literally the only like massive difference from verse 1 to verse 2, but same chord progression. So this is an electric guitar. Funny enough, I actually used a Jason Richardson amp from Mixwave, which is probably way overkill for this genre, but I really like the rhythm with the gain cranked really low. It gives you that nice like crunchy edge of breakup. So let's hear that.
And I feel like I might throw up. Left hook, right punch to the gut. You're just a pretty boy, I'm paranoid, I made you up. Yeah, I'd love it if you walked me home. If you promise we can go real slow. Cause I got chewing gum and a bunch of stuff I'd like to know. Like, have you ever been to Japan or taken that Euros?
I think I want to go ahead and add this little filler guitar into here as well, just to give us some kind of counter melody.
Like, have you ever been to Japan or taken that Euro? I've been dropping hints all night that I'd love it if you held my hand. God damn, and then maybe we could make out. Close off and fall to the ground. Let's go steady, let's go out and tell the whole damn world how.
Nice little drum fill right there to go into this chorus. Nice. And then we're going into the chorus, filler guitar, you know her, you love her, she's right there. That bass, the retro flangered preset with the mall rat preset. But we're not going consistent, we're kind of leaving a little bit of room. So the verses are gung 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 gung, very repeated. We're adding a little bit of space. Just to give us a little bit of extra movement. Everything happening all the time can be overwhelming. For the synths, it's the same stuff, the granular pad. We do have the brass pad underneath this one, the main ARP, and that big Roland style brass. Just making a beautiful little synth bed underneath. And then for this hook, I wanted some kind of extra counter melody, so I found, essentially I'm taking that Luma lead that we had in the first post-chorus, I'm turning it down and just panning that all the way to the left, or all the way to the right, I'm sorry. And just playing this as a counter. And then kind of a nod to Dan Nigro, you're going to find Mellotron in basically every song that he produces, so I added this like broken Mellotron-esque preset that we have in Poptopia 2, just to kind of layer that string sound and pan it to the left side. And then for this chorus, I'm playing that electric guitar open, and I'm taking some of those big stabs from the first stabby chorus. So all together.
Damn world, how one night I was bored in bed and stalked you on the internet.
The last thing to talk about is this little intro over here. We just have the granular pad. But the start of the intro is that I took that ARP, I exported it, and then I reversed every single note. So instead of just doing like the normal progression, it is all reversed, which I thought was fun. Adds a bit of interest in character. And the way that you do that is essentially just render a sound out, and then I would go through and I would cut every eighth note, and then, well, I would basically render it, reverse it, cut every eighth note, and then rearrange it. It's kind of time consuming, but it came out with a really cool result, and then I just have that verse guitar filtered in. Vocal production, there's nothing for me to talk about. I'm just using the acapella, and that's pretty much it. That is everything that we're going to do for this. I'm not going to do the bridge or the final chorus or anything, just because that would be a 2-hour-long video, but for right now, I'm happy with this. This is how I would have produced Drop Dead by Olivia Rodrigo. Before I show you this, though, don't forget, We have a couple more days for the sale. You have until the end of April 26th, 25% off of courses. If you like this, you'll probably love the pop course and the indie rock and alternative course. They're both really similar in style to this, and they're huge. They're both like 20 hours long, 50, 55 lessons each. So go check those out. They are 25% off. We also have a brand new R&B course. If you're this far in this video, R&B may not be your bag, but if you love R&B, that one might be my favorite course that we've ever done. And then we have sample packs, preset packs, MIDI packs. This video used Sour Candy, Poptopia 2, Lush, the R&B mini packs. There's tons of stuff. I'm tired of promoting. Anyway, go check it out. That's at makepopmusic.com. It's in the description below. But let's give this a listen.
Closes at 11. I hope you never finish that beer. You know all the words to Just Like Heaven, and I know why he wrote them now that you're standing right here. Oh, a pretty boy, I'm paranoid, I made you up. Yeah, I'd love it if you walked me home. If you promise we can go real slow, cause I got chewing gum and a bunch of stuff I'd like to know. Like, have you ever been to Japan or taken that Eurostar to France? I've been dropping hints all night that I'd love it if you held my hand. God damn, and then maybe we could make out. Close off and fall to the ground. Let's go steady, let's go out and tell the whole damn world how one night I was born in bed and stalked you on the internet. It's feminine intuition, cause I always had a vision of us standing like this. All dressed up in the bathroom line, you looking like an angel on the walls of Versailles. The most alive I've ever been, but kiss me in the night.
That's going to do it. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you subscribe. We do videos like this every single Friday. See you guys next Friday. Much love. Peace.